Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I have another video for you guys from Kage. This one explaining the Kekkei Genkai. Now let's not waste any time and just jump straight into the video.
So I was supposed to be talking about wood release this week, but then I remembered I should probably explain what Kekkei Genkai in general are. So yeah, that's what
We did react to the wood release video, by the way, if you're wondering. You can find it on the channel.
this video is going to be about. So alright, what's going on everybody? Kage here, and today we're going to be talking about Kekkei Genkai. I think the best way to give a broad explanation of what a Kekkei Genkai is to just tell you what its name means in English. It directly translates to bloodline limit. And, well, this name isn't too far off from how you might hear some people describe what a Kekkei Genkai is. Kekkei Genkai are genetic gifts, almost like superpowers, and as a result, the abilities they entail are impossible to learn. Kekkei Genkai abilities can't even be copied with the Sharingan, as said by Kakashi himself. However, it is possible to obtain a Kekkei Genkai a person wasn't born with through various means that I'll explain later.
Now, one thing that I will say is I do like that Kishimoto did make this, did add this to the lore of the world, saying that certain abilities they can't just be learned by anyone. You have to be born with the capability of using it, because I think I mentioned in one of my previous videos that there are some abilities in the Naruto universe that I've always wondered, why don't we see more people using them because of how strong they are. And while there are obviously some limitations, not everyone will, and it's not even, not everyone will have the capability of using it. And it's not because, they need to be born with the ability to use it, but they don't have necessarily, I guess you could say, the talent to use it. But there are some abilities to where, like for example, wood release or the Sharingan, the Byakugan, or the Rinnegan, like you can't learn it. It's something you have to be born with. But obviously there are ways to circumvent that, and I think he's about to get into it. But the problem is that when you do that, you also have some problems, which again I think he'll probably get into in the video. Like when you try to circumvent the limitation of, oh, you're not born with the ability to use this, so you have to go the other way. That type of thing. Like for example, someone who isn't born with a Sharingan can just implant one into their, into their eyes or their eye sockets, but that comes with its own, sort of, like we said, limitations, which we see with Kakashi.
Of course, first I should explain how Kekkei Genkai abilities are naturally acquired, and well, this tends to vary depending on which ability you're talking about. Some abilities are genetically exclusive to all members of a particular clan, like the Yuki clan's Ice Release ability. Some abilities are genetically exclusive to individual people though, like Hashirama's Wood Release ability that no other members of the Senju clan ever developed. Finally, the rarest of Kekkei Genkai are the kind that are genetically exclusive to one clan, but also only manifest in certain members of that clan. The Kaguya clan Shikotsu Myaku ability is a really good example of this. It was an extraordinarily rare ability that only seemed to manifest in one of the clan's members per generation, and was never used by anybody outside of the clan. Now, it is worth noting that Kekkei Genkai can be classified in more ways than just with their acquisition prerequisites. There are actually 3 different kinds of Kekkei Genkai in the Naruto universe, and they all vary quite drastically from one another. The first kind is the Dojutsu, or ocular techniques, like the Sharingan, Byakugan, and Rinnegan. Dojutsu all unsurprisingly manifest in
the eyes, of course,
and typically change the appearance of their eyes quite drastically. Changes can only be seen when the abilities are activated, however. And on that note, most Dojutsu abilities can be triggered on and off at the user's will. The second kind of Kekkei Genkai are what you could consider body abilities, and as you can probably infer, they're all tied heavily to the entirety of a person's body. Examples include Sakon and Yukon's unnamed Kekkei Genkai that allows them to merge their bodies with those of others, and the Kaguya clan Shikotsu Myaku ability. These abilities are probably the hardest for a person to acquire if they don't already have access to them, as they seem kind of hardwired into the body's genetic code. The last kind is the nature release Kekkei Genkai, which is probably the most commonly seen. These are special kinds of nature transformations that exist outside of
like lava release, for example,
and are generally the result of combining 2 nature transformations at once. It's very important to make the distinction between casting 2 different kinds of natures like fire and wind together at the same time and merging them together into a completely separate nature transformation.
So for example, and again I think he's about to get into it, for example, like there's a difference between using a fire release jutsu and a water release jutsu at the same time, and combining fire and water nature transformation, merging them together to create something new. There's a difference between the two. Like for example, Yamato can use water release and earth release, but it's when he combines the two that he can create wood release. See what I mean?
The results are completely different. According to the anime, people with these kinds of Kekkei Genkai have an affinity for both natures they are combining. Or in the cases of Kekkei Toda, all three natures that they are combining. Now, I've already listed all of the different combinations between nature transformations and the new nature transformations that they produce over in my Chakra Natures video. So if you haven't seen it already, I would highly urge you to, but there are some exceptions to the rules that I've explained here. Not all nature-released Kekkei Genkai are the result of combining two of the basic nature transformations. Blaze Release, for example, is completely different from this. Blaze Release is both a dojutsu and a nature transformation Kekkei Genkai, as it's the result of one of Sasuke's Mangekyo Sharingan abilities.
And Sasuke is the only character that can use this.
Amaterasu into different things, and is so versatile that it had to be classified as its own nature transformation. Some other examples of these exceptions can be found in filler, like Crystal Release, Dark Release, etc. But for the most part, Nature Release Kekkei Genkai are always combinations of 2 or 3 nature transformations. Now, before I proceed onward and explain how it's possible to obtain Kekkei Genkai that a person hasn't been born with, I need to make it very clear that Hiden techniques are not Kekkei Genkai. Hiden techniques are special techniques passed down between members of specific clans, but they're not genetic abilities the same way Kekkei Genkai are. These are techniques like Shadow Possession Jutsu, Mind Transfer Jutsu, and so on and so forth, that no members outside of the clan who created them have access to, not because of genetics, but because of how heavily guarded the specifics of these techniques were. Anyhow, now that that's cleared up, let me explain how to acquire a Kekkei Genkai without being born with one. Generally, this is done through transplanting or surgery. And
there we go.
Transplanting dojutsu like Sharingan and Byakugan is typically much easier than transplanting body Kekkei Genkai and nature release Kekkei Genkai, but the procedure still isn't perfect. The actual surgery is as simple as doing a regular eye transplant would be in real life, but there are a lot of drawbacks that come with using a dojutsu you're not born with. Most notably, increased chakra consumption and decreased control over the abilities that the dojutsu provides. Now,
this is one of the reasons why Kakashi always had to keep the eye hidden, because if he basically didn't have his headband covering it, the Sharingan would be he'd be using it all the time, and it would just drain way too much of his chakra, which is another disadvantage that comes with just transplanting the eye into your body or your eye socket, is that you can't turn it off. And that's one of the reasons why Orochimaru, a lot of people, I remember saying that, if Orochimaru wanted the Sharingan so badly, why didn't he just take a Sharingan and just implant it into his eye? Well, because like we said, if he does that, it comes with the drawbacks of the fact that you can never shut it off, and because of that, it would continuously use up most of your chakra. And also, one of the drawbacks for the Sharingan, remember, even for Uchiha clan members who were born with the ability to awaken it, is that it uses up a lot of stamina. That's one of the drawbacks for using the Sharingan. That's why you have to continuously train your body to be able to use it, so you can increase your stamina so that you would be able to fight longer. And it's one of the reasons why Itachi always had to finish a fight quickly, because as powerful as his Sharingan was, it uses up way too much stamina, so he always prioritized finishing a fight quickly. And why, when he couldn't, he would just opt to retreat instead. And it's the same thing with Nagato. He got the Rinnegan, but he could never shut it off. As we saw with Madara, he had the Rinnegan when he was in Edo Tensei, but he could revert it back to a Mangekyo Sharingan. Now, he never did that again, because I don't really think he needed to, because he was in Edo Tensei, and Edo Tenseis have an unlimited supply of chakra, so I guess it was just fortunate for him that he had a way to circumvent that. But yeah, for anyone wondering, that's why Nagato could never revert the Rinnegan back to the Sharingan, because of what we just talked about. Like, it wasn't his Rinnegan to begin with. It was something that he was, given by Madara. And that's why Orochimaru wanted to take Sasuke's body, so that way he would have full control over the Sharingan.
It is possible to acquire a nature-release Kekkei Genkai without being born with one. Many characters have done this by simply being Jinchuriki, like Gaara, who inherited Magnet Release from Shukaku, and Roshi, who inherited Lava Release from...
See, I'm confused, just on the Gaara thing. It's like, so they say he inherited Magnet Release from Shukaku, but I thought it was an ability he inherited from his mom. His mom was born with the ability to use sand, and that's why he inherited from her. At least that's what I thought.
Some Goku. But it's also possible to acquire nature transformation Kekkei Genkai through surgery as well. I'm not entirely sure on all of the details of the procedure, but I assume it has something to do with splicing the cells of the person who originally had the Kekkei Genkai in with your own, but this procedure is far from perfect as well.
No, it's
Gone through
not.
this process to gain access to wood release by having Hashirama's DNA transplanted into their body, but more often than not, attempting to go through this procedure results in the death of the person being operated on. So it's not very reliable. Now, I don't know how he did it, but Kabuto managed to acquire 2 body Kekkei Genkai.
So for anyone wondering, the reason why it was deemed too dangerous is because Hashirama's power, when you transplant someone's cells, you also get their power. The problem is that Hashirama was just too strong, and their bodies, the person that would have the DNA transplanted into them, their bodies weren't strong enough to be able to handle that power, and so it destroys them. That's why, for example, members of the Uchiha clan are more compatible with with Hashirama's DNA, because they're in a way related to the Senju. Remember, they're both descendants from Indra and Ashura, who were brothers. So you could say they were both, and Indra and Ashura, of course, their dad was the Sage of the Six Paths. So you could say they're more compatible. That's why when when Madara transplanted Hashirama's DNA into him, it didn't do anything to him. Like, it almost immediately acclimated to his body, because again, there's a strong compatibility, because in a way they're genetically related. Maybe distantly, because of as time goes forward, you start to become less and less related to each other, but that relation is still there. So yeah, that's why, for anyone wondering, that's why the Leaf decided to ban the experimentation on Hashirama's DNA, trying to transplant it into other people so they can gain access to wood release, because it was too dangerous. Everyone would die. And I think Yamato was just lucky. Like, he was just born with the right genetics. It was just luck of the draw. Like, there was nothing really special about Yamato. He just had the right DNA. Like, that's it.
He did it, but Kabuto managed to acquire 2 body Kekkei Genkai, Sakon and Yukon's unnamed Kekkei Genkai, and the Kaguya clan Shikotsu Myaku ability, both of which I've mentioned earlier. He apparently transplanted the DNA of Sakon and Yukon along with Kimimaro into his own body, but I don't know how the procedure went. Kabuto's a medical nin, though, so he probably...
I think it's probably best to just forget about it. It's one of those things that you kind of just have to accept. It's like, okay, all right, fine, whatever. You don't really need an explanation.
That's all for this video. Next week, I'm actually going to be jumping into wood release. So sorry about the delay there. I just thought it was appropriate to cover Kekkei Genkai as a whole first. But anyhow, thank you guys as always for watching the video all the way through to the end. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, maybe leave a like. Of course, if you have anything you want me to talk about in a future video, then as always, leave it in the comments below. And if I like it enough, I'll add it to my list of upcoming video topics. Hope you guys have a fantastic day. Hope to see you in my next video, and I'll talk to you later. Swagkage out. Bye.
Okay, so that's the video. Now, there we go. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you guys, as always, have a video you want me to watch, just let me know about it in the comment section down below. And remember to consider leaving a like, share this video, subscribe if you haven't. Make sure to hit the bell for notifications, and also check out the description of this video to find a link to not only this video, the one that we're watching, but also a link to Swagkage's channel, so you can go there and subscribe and watch his other videos. I'll also leave a link to my second channel. Consider heading on over there and subscribing. I'll be posting content there that I can't post here anymore because of YouTube. So with that being said, again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope to talk to you for I hope to see you for my next reaction. Bye for now.